You are not apart from the world, but a living, breathing expression of it. Everything that you are, your thoughts, your feelings, your body is as much a part of the universe as the stars in the sky or the leaves on a tree. The air you breathe, the food you eat, even the very atoms of your body are all borrowed from the world around you, constantly flowing in and out, never truly separate. This sense of unity becomes clear when you step back and look at the bigger picture. Just as a tree doesn't stand alone but depends on the soil, the sun, and the rain, you too are intricately connected to the web of existence. You cannot exist without the earth beneath your feet, the energy of the sun, the water that flows through rivers and veins alike. You are the universe knowing itself in this particular form, experiencing its own vastness through your eyes, hearing its hum in your heartbeat. What feels like separation is merely an illusion created by the boundaries we impose, boundaries of thought, language, and perception. When you peel these away, you see that there is no dividing line, no me and not me. There is only the flow, the interconnected dance of all things, and you are a part of it, inseparable from its beauty and complexity. To realize this is not to lose yourself, but to find that you are so much more than you thought. You are the sky and the earth, the wave and the ocean, a thread in the infinite tapestry of existence. And in that there is no isolation, only wholeness, only belonging. Consider the wave rising from the surface of the ocean. For a brief moment it seems to stand apart, cresting and moving as though it has a life of its own. But is the wave truly separate from the ocean? Or is it simply the ocean expressing itself in this form for this fleeting instant? The wave does not control its path or determine its existence. It flows naturally, shaped by the tides, the wind, and the deep rhythms of the sea. It never doubts its place, never questions its identity, because it knows in some unspoken way that it is the ocean. Even as it rises, even as it falls, it remains a part of that vast, endless expanse. We are like the wave. We often see ourselves as distinct, isolated entities, moving through the world as though separate from it. But this sense of separation is an illusion. Just as the wave cannot exist without the ocean, we cannot exist without the interconnected web of life, the currents of energy, matter, and consciousness that flow through all things. The wave teaches us something profound. There is no need to strive to belong, because you already do. There is no need to fight against the current, because the current is what carries you. And just as the wave returns to the ocean from which it arose, so too do we remain forever connected to the source of all existence, no matter how individual or unique our forms may appear. To understand this is to let go of resistance and embrace the flow of life as it is. In every rise and fall, in every crest and trough, there is no division, only the dance of the ocean expressing itself endlessly, beautifully, and without end. The essence of effortless being lies in simply allowing yourself to exist as you are, without the constant push to change, improve, or become something else. Look at nature. A flower doesn't strain to bloom, nor does a river struggle to flow. They simply follow their intrinsic nature, growing and moving in harmony with the larger rhythms of life. This is not laziness or passivity. It is the profound wisdom of aligning with what already is, rather than forcing against it. Effortless being doesn't mean doing nothing. It means letting your actions arise naturally from the flow of life. Just as a bird takes flight when the wind lifts it, or a seed sprouts when the conditions are right, your own life can unfold with ease when you stop resisting what comes and stop chasing after what isn't. Effortlessness is not about avoiding effort. It's about releasing unnecessary tension, letting go of the struggle that comes from believing you must always be in control. When you allow yourself to simply be, you create space for your true nature to emerge. This isn't something you have to manufacture or work toward. It's already within you, like sunlight waiting to shine through a break in the clouds. In this state, actions become expressions of who you are, rather than attempts to prove your worth or meet external expectations. This kind of being is not constrained by judgment or comparison. It is free, spontaneous, and alive. It trusts in the deeper currents of life to carry it forward, knowing that everything unfolds in its own time. The paradox is that in surrendering control, you discover a natural flow that feels more balanced, more genuine, and more effective than anything forced or contrived. Effortless being is not a retreat from life, but an invitation to engage with it fully. It is stepping into the stream of existence with open hands and open heart, letting yourself move with the current rather than against it. In this way, you find that life doesn't have to be a constant battle. It can be a dance, a gentle unfolding of what you were always meant to be. Freedom from worry arises when you realize that much of what you fear or strive to control is beyond your grasp, and that this is not a problem, but a gift. Worry comes from the belief that you must micromanage life, that the outcomes of every moment rest solely on your shoulders. Yet, look around at the natural world. The sun rises without your effort, the seasons change without your intervention, and your own heart beats without your command. Life has a way of carrying on, regardless of whether you worry about it or not. Worry, in essence, is a mental projection clinging to imagined futures or past regrets. It distracts you from the present, drawing you into scenarios that may never unfold. And even if they do, the energy spent worrying doesn't prepare you for them. It only drains your vitality. When you let go of worry, you free up space within yourself to respond to life with clarity and presence. Letting go of worry doesn't mean becoming indifferent or careless. It means trusting in the flow of life, recognizing that you cannot control everything, nor do you need to. It is understanding that while you have a role to play, you are not the sole architect of existence. Just as a river carves its way to the sea without forcing its path, you too can move forward without the weight of constant anxiety. Freedom from worry is about finding peace with uncertainty. The future is always unknown, and trying to predict or secure it only tightens the knots of fear. But when you accept that life is inherently unpredictable, you discover a kind of liberation. You begin to see that not knowing is part of the adventure, that every moment unfolds exactly as it should, even if it doesn't align with your expectations. When you release worry, you make room for trust in the processes that guide life, trust in your ability to adapt, and trust in the inherent wisdom of the present moment. This trust allows you to meet challenges with resilience, to embrace opportunities with an open heart, and to experience life with a sense of wonder rather than dread. Worry tries to convince you that life is a problem to be solved, but freedom from it reveals that life is a mystery to be lived. Integration with the rhythm of life means aligning yourself with the natural flow of existence, moving in harmony with the currents that shape the world around you. Much like the ebb and flow of the tides, the rhythm of life is not something you can control, but something you can learn to recognize and flow with. The trees sway in the wind, the seasons change, and the stars follow their paths across the sky. There is a rhythm to everything, an underlying pulse that connects all things. When you move with that rhythm, life feels effortless, as though you are part of a larger cosmic dance. When you resist the rhythm, life feels like a constant struggle. You fight against change, you try to bend time to your will, and you push forward, often without knowing where you are going. This resistance creates tension, exhaustion, and disconnection. But when you let go of that resistance, when you stop trying to force things to fit your desires, you begin to notice the subtle patterns around you. You hear the music of the world, the hum of your own existence, and you realize that you are already part of the dance, not something separate or apart from it. This rhythm is not linear. It's not about simply following one step after another in a predictable path. Life's rhythm has its peaks and valleys, its moments of stillness and bursts of energy. Just as a song has both loud and quiet moments, there are times in life when you are called to act, and times when you must pause and reflect. Integration with the rhythm means recognizing when to move forward and when to rest, when to hold on and when to let go. It's about being in tune with the flow, not pushing against it, but allowing yourself to be carried along by it with full awareness and presence. The world around you offers constant invitations to integrate with this rhythm. Every breath you take, every step you make is part of a greater movement that is already happening. It is in the cycle of the seasons, in the rising and setting of the sun, in the pulse of your heartbeat. To align yourself with this rhythm is to feel the unity of all things and to move through the world with a sense of grace and ease. When you integrate with the rhythm of life, you stop fighting against the current and start working with it. You become less concerned with controlling outcomes and more focused on being present in each moment, allowing life to unfold as it naturally does. You begin to see yourself as part of the ongoing, ever-changing pattern, not as an outsider trying to impose your will upon the world. And in this alignment, you find peace. The rhythm of life is always there, waiting for you to tune in. Rejection of striving means releasing the constant need to push, chase, and force outcomes. It is about letting go of the belief that happiness, success, or fulfillment lie just beyond your grasp, always somewhere in the future, always the result of more effort, more struggle. This mindset has been ingrained in us from a young age that we must work hard to achieve, that nothing comes without effort, that life is a race to be won. But this way of thinking leads only to exhaustion, stress, and a sense of never quite being enough. When you reject this perpetual striving, you start to see that the things you seek are not distant goals, but experiences that arise naturally when you stop trying so hard. You realize that the present moment is enough, and in it, there is everything you need. The pressure to constantly improve, to constantly become something more, melts away. Life is not a journey where you must race toward a destination, but a dance where you are meant to move in harmony with the music without needing to control every step. Striving often comes from a belief in lack, that there is something missing from your life, something you need to acquire or change in order to be whole. But this belief is built on an illusion. You are not incomplete. In truth, you are part of an ongoing, unfolding process that does not require relentless effort. Just as a tree does not strive to grow but grows naturally when the conditions are right, so too do you grow best when you align with the flow of life instead of forcing it. Rejection of striving is not about giving up or becoming passive. It is about trusting the process of life. It means recognizing that things unfold in their own time, that every moment contains its own wisdom, its own lesson. By stepping out of the constant hustle, you begin to embrace the natural rhythm of growth, which is never hurried, never anxious. You realize that life has its own timing, and by surrendering to it, you find that things come together in a way that feels effortless and aligned. In rejecting striving, you open yourself to a deeper peace. You let go of the mental noise that comes from chasing after elusive goals and allow yourself to be fully present with what is. Instead of fighting against life, you start to dance with it, moving in sync with its natural rhythms. You recognize that there is no need to prove your worth or to chase after happiness, because in truth, happiness is already here inside of you, in every breath, in every moment. When striving fades, space is created for joy, spontaneity, and creativity to emerge. Life becomes less about the accumulation of achievements and more about the simple experience of being alive. You stop living for the future and begin to live fully in the present, where everything you need is already here. And in this release, you discover a deeper satisfaction that no amount of effort or striving could ever bring. Acceptance of the present is the act of fully embracing life as it is, without trying to change or control what is unfolding right now. It is an act of surrendering to the moment, letting go of the need to escape it, to judge it, or to wish for it to be different. Most of the time, we are either consumed by the past or lost in thoughts of the future. We dwell on things that have already happened, regret the choices we've made, or we anxiously anticipate what's to come, wondering what will happen next. But the present moment is where life truly exists, and when we reject it, we miss out on the fullness of experience that is right before us. When we accept the present, we stop fighting against it. We stop trying to control it, to make it conform to our preferences, or to judge it as good or bad. We begin to see that everything that is happening now has its place, its purpose. Even the things that seem uncomfortable, even the moments of pain or uncertainty, are part of the greater whole. The present moment is where we can find peace, because it is all we ever really have. It is only in the now that we can act, feel, and experience life directly. Acceptance of the present requires a shift in mindset from one of resistance to one of openness. It is about being curious, being open to what is, without trying to make it fit into some preconceived notion or expectation. When we accept the present, we stop imposing stories on it. Instead, we let go of the mental chatter that so often distracts us from what is truly happening, and we allow ourselves to be fully immersed in the experience of the moment. This could be as simple as feeling the warmth of the sun on your skin or listening to the sound of rain tapping against a window. These small, ordinary experiences are filled with richness if we are truly present for them. In accepting the present, we also let go of the need to understand everything. Life does not always make sense, and many things are beyond our comprehension. But acceptance doesn't require understanding, it simply requires trust. Trust that whatever is happening is part of a larger pattern, a rhythm that we may not always see, but that we can feel if we are willing to be still enough to listen. The acceptance of the present opens the door to living with less anxiety and more grace. We no longer feel the need to push against the flow, but instead we move with it, recognizing that every moment has something to offer, even if it's not what we expected. When we fully embrace the present, we experience life as it is, not as we think it should be. In doing so, we discover that the present moment contains everything we need for fulfillment. Happiness doesn't lie in some distant future or in some past memory. It is here now in the simple act of being alive, in the space between thoughts, in the breath we take, and the space between each heartbeat. Accepting the present is a gateway to true freedom, where you are no longer bound by the need to change things, but free to experience life fully, just as it is. Surrender to the whole is the act of letting go of the illusion of separateness and recognizing that you are part of a much greater, interconnected reality. It is a shift from the ego's tight grip on control and individual desires to a humble acceptance of the larger forces at play in life. We often think of ourselves as isolated beings, disconnected from the world and other people, as if we are somehow apart from the universe. But in reality, we are not isolated, we are threads in the vast tapestry of existence, each one woven into the intricate pattern of life, just as the waves are woven into the ocean. To surrender to the whole is to stop trying to carve out a space for yourself outside of this larger context. It is an acceptance that you are not the center of the universe, but rather a part of its unfolding. This surrender is not about giving up or resigning yourself to passivity. It is about stepping into the flow of life, trusting that everything is unfolding as it should. It means recognizing that while you may not control everything, you are part of the larger design, and that every moment, every experience contributes to the bigger picture. When you surrender to the whole, you let go of the illusion that you must manage every aspect of your life. Instead of rigidly holding on to your plans and expectations, you begin to flow with the natural course of events. The struggles and challenges you face are no longer seen as obstacles to overcome, but as opportunities for growth, as integral parts of your journey. Just as a leaf does not resist the wind but is carried by it, you too can allow yourself to be carried by life's currents, trusting that there is a purpose in the unfolding of each moment. This surrender is not an abdication of responsibility, but a deep recognition of the limitations of your control. It's the realization that life's complexities cannot be fully understood by the mind, and that trying to grasp or manipulate everything only creates friction and tension. When you surrender, you allow space for the mystery of life to reveal itself in its own time, rather than trying to force it into the narrow framework of what you think it should be. To surrender to the whole is also to release the fear of the unknown. The fear that things might not go as planned, or that you may encounter hardship or loss, fades when you realize that everything is part of a natural flow and nothing is truly random. There is a sense of peace that arises when you stop trying to anticipate and control and instead open yourself to whatever comes. You begin to trust that there is a wisdom in the flow of life and intelligence that moves through everything and that you are intimately connected to. In surrendering, you stop swimming against the current and begin to float, carried along by the vastness of the universe. In surrendering to the whole, you find a profound sense of freedom. You are no longer burdened by the weight of having to shape every outcome or by the need to constantly prove your worth. Instead, you live in alignment with the greater pattern of life, and in doing so, discover that there is an ease, a grace in the way everything unfolds. You become attuned to the rhythm of existence and no longer feel the need to force your own beat. It is in this surrender that you realize the beauty of simply being no longer separate, but one with the whole. Natural wholeness is the recognition that you are inherently complete, just as you are, and that there is nothing you need to add or change to become whole. From the moment you were born, you were already a part of the greater whole of life. You didn't need to earn your existence, and you don't need to strive to become something more. The essence of who you are, your being, your spirit, Your unique expression in this world has always been whole, and it remains so despite the external conditions or challenges you may face. This wholeness is not something you can lose, because it is the very foundation of your existence. Just as the ocean cannot lose its water or the sky cannot lose its vastness, you cannot lose the inherent completeness that makes you who you are. We often believe that we need to fill some empty space within ourselves, that we must chase after accomplishments, possessions, or recognition to feel whole. But these pursuits are not what defines us. They may offer temporary satisfaction, but they do not change the deeper truth of your inherent wholeness. The illusion of lack, of not being enough, comes from the mind's tendency to compare, to judge, and divide. We live in a world where we are constantly told that we must measure up, that we must strive to be better, faster, smarter, more successful. This constant comparison creates a sense of inadequacy, as though there is always something missing. But when we look within, we realize that the wholeness we seek is already here, already within us. It is in the way we breathe, in the rhythm of our heartbeat, in the way our bodies move and respond to the world around us. Embracing natural wholeness means letting go of the idea that we are incomplete and recognizing that the journey of life is not about fixing what is broken, but about uncovering the fullness that already exists within us. Just as a tree does not need to seek out its leaves, they naturally grow when the conditions are right, so too does your true nature unfold when you stop forcing it, when you stop trying to become something other than yourself. Wholeness is not something you must achieve, it is something you must realize. When you embrace this wholeness, you begin to move through life with greater ease because you no longer feel the need to prove yourself or seek external validation. You are content with what you are, and from that place of deep self-acceptance, you begin to engage with the world not from a place of lack, but from a place of abundance. This acceptance allows for growth, but it is a growth that arises naturally, without the burden of striving. The beauty of natural wholeness is that it invites you to stop dividing yourself from the world. It reminds you that you are not isolated or apart from the universe, you are an integral part of it. Just as a single leaf is part of the entire tree, so too is your existence part of the vast, interconnected web of life. There is no need to separate yourself from the whole to feel important, because you are already a vital expression of it. In embracing this, you realize that you are not here to fulfill an arbitrary goal or to meet a set of expectations, but to express the fullness of who you are, just as you are. And in doing so, you naturally contribute to the whole without effort or struggle. Letting go is the act of releasing control, surrendering to the flow of life, and allowing things to unfold without the need to manipulate or hold onto them. It is the recognition that many aspects of life are beyond our control, and the freedom that comes from accepting this fact. Often we cling to things, memories, desires, fears, people, outcomes, believing that holding on will provide us with security, stability, or a sense of purpose. But in truth, clinging only creates tension and limits our ability to experience the fullness of life. When we let go, we stop trying to force things to be a certain way. We stop attaching our happiness to specific outcomes, and we stop believing that our worth is dependent on what we achieve or possess. Letting go is not about abandoning everything, but rather about releasing the need to control every detail. It is about trusting that life has its own intelligence, its own timing, and that we don't need to tightly hold onto the reins to navigate it. The more we try to grip tightly to the past or worry about the future, the more we miss the present, which is the only moment where life is truly happening. Letting go also involves shedding the burdens of old beliefs, wounds, or expectations that no longer serve us. It is about freeing ourselves from the patterns of thought and behavior that keep us stuck, trapped in cycles of regret or fear. These mental and emotional patterns can be as heavy as physical chains, and the act of letting go is akin to releasing those chains. It allows us to move more freely, to open ourselves to new possibilities, and to experience life with a renewed sense of openness and acceptance. The challenge of letting go is that it often requires us to face uncertainty. We fear that if we let go of our attachments, whether to a person, a goal, or an idea, we will lose something important, or that we will be left with nothing. But in reality, letting go creates space for something new to emerge. It clears the way for growth, for transformation, and for unexpected opportunities to arise. By letting go, we open ourselves to a deeper, more profound sense of peace, because we are no longer burdened by the weight of trying to control everything. When we let go, we stop resisting the natural flow of life. We stop swimming upstream and instead allow ourselves to be carried by the current. This doesn't mean we become passive or inactive, rather. We move with life, responding to it with grace and flexibility, trusting that we are being guided toward exactly what we need. Letting go also means releasing the need to have everything figured out. It means accepting that some things are simply beyond our understanding or control, and that there is peace in the mystery of life. Letting go allows us to reconnect with the essence of who we truly are. When we stop identifying with our attachments, our past, or our expectations, we come to realize that we are not defined by any of these things. We are much more than the sum of our experiences or the roles we play in life. At our core, we are beings of awareness, of presence, and of love, and letting go of the clutter that accumulates around us allows us to rediscover this truth. In this release, we find freedom, not the freedom to escape from life, but the freedom to fully embrace it as it is. Letting go opens us to the richness of each moment, to the beauty of the present, and to the possibilities that unfold when we stop holding on so tightly. It is through letting go that we begin to experience life with a sense of ease, a sense of trust, and a deep knowing that everything is always unfolding exactly as it should. In the end, when we stop striving, when we release our attachments, and when we let go of the need to control, we discover a profound truth: we are already whole. Life is not something to be conquered, but something to be experienced, embraced, and lived in harmony with. The more we align ourselves with the natural flow of existence, recognizing that we are part of something much greater, the more effortless and fulfilling our journey becomes. By surrendering to the present moment, we can experience the beauty and wonder of life as it is, without the burden of expectations, fear, or resistance. In the end, life is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived. And when we allow ourselves to flow with it, we find the freedom, peace, and joy that were always within our reach.